Konnichiwa, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Japanese Faves Midnight Diner series, where we'll make the dishes from the great Japanese language Netflix series called Midnight Diner. This lesson is Tonteki from Season 1, Episode 3 of Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories. I usually make the Midnight Diner dishes as close as possible to Master's version, but unfortunately he didn't provide much information about this dish and nothing about the sauce, so I've taken some liberties to make it my own. I've added garlic because the Tonteki Association of Kokachi City, where Tonteki was invented, declared that it's not Tonteki without garlic. You might be wondering how Tonteki differs from tonkatsu. I have at least one separate lesson on making tonkatsu. In Japanese, ton means pork and teki means steak, so literally this dish is pork steak. Tonkatsu is breaded and deep fried, but tonteki is sautéed. So let's start cooking. All right, now we're going to mix the sauce for the tonteki. And first we're going to add the shoyu, which is Japanese soy sauce. Then we'll add the sake. Then the mirin. And the ponzu sauce. I have a separate lesson on making ponzu sauce. And then we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce, as Guy Fieri would say. I recommend that you use the famous name brand, the Lee & Perrins. Okay, I think that has the best taste. We're just going to mix that up. Okay, now we're going to mix the grated onion. Now, this was grated with a grater, so it's very fine, it's very liquidy, okay, just like you see in the Midnight Diner version of this that Master made. And I already have the garlic here in this bowl, and I'm just going to mix the two together, okay? All right, now we're going to prep our pork chop for sauteing. And what we're going to do is put a very shallow cut around the pork chop, about 3/4 of an inch wide, okay? Why are we doing this? One, that's where we're going to cut it later into slices. And two, this is to help to keep the pork flat while it's cooking, okay? We're just going to do that on both sides. We're going to try to do it in basically the same spot on both sides of the pork. Just a very shallow cut. All right, now we're going to season the pork. And if you watch my videos, you know that season means always and only salt and pepper. We might use other herbs and spices from time to time, but I don't call that seasoning, okay? And I like to pat it in, all right? Turn it over, do the other side. How much? Lightly. You can always add it. Can't take it away. Okay, now we're going to dredge the pork. Now, I'm only making one right now because I'm just making it for me tonight, actually. But we want to dredge the pork both sides. And how much flour do you need? Enough to do it, okay? So I put about, let's say a half a cup in here. That's more than I need. If I was doing 2 pork chops, I'd need a little bit more, okay? But what I do is I start off with like kind of the minimum amount, and if I need more, I add it. Okay, so we've dredged both sides of the pork chop with flour, as Master did in the Midnight Diner episode. All right, now we're going to make garlic chips, which are a great garnish for a lot of dishes. And ideally, you want to start with large cloves of garlic, okay? And this one I can see has a little blemish on the side of it. I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to cut off the roots of each piece of each clove of garlic. And we're going to get rid of those. Okay, then we're going to slice these very thinly, okay? I lay the flat side of the garlic down, and then I try to slice each one of the cloves pretty thinly. We're talking about like a 1/16 of an inch. You can see we have fairly big slices because they're large cloves and they're very thin. All right, now we're going to cook the garlic slices to make the garlic chips. And first I want to show you that I have here a piece of crumbled up brown paper. That's where the chips are going to go after they come out of the oil. We're also prepared with a slotted spoon because we want to take them out of the oil but leave the oil in the pan. And I have about probably 3 tablespoons of olive oil here in the pan. I'm going to add a little more. It's about 3 tablespoons now. It wasn't before. Okay, now we're going to put the garlic slices into the oil, turn on the heat to low, and then we're going to cook them until they're golden. And you know, you can't turn them over one by one, but we're going to try to turn them over the best we can so that we get a little bit of golden color on each side. And once the oil heats up, this is going to go pretty fast. Okay. Okay, the garlic is starting to bubble in the oil a little bit. As you can see, I've tried to separate them so that they're not layered on top of each other. They're not taking on any color yet. We're just going to let them go a little bit longer, and they're going to start to brown pretty quickly. Okay, some of the garlic chips are starting to take on some golden color, and so we're going to try to flip as many of them over as we can, okay? And one way to do that, to cut down on the heat, is to lift one side of the pan so the oil goes to the other side of the pan, and then try to flip them over. That way they're not actually cooking in the oil at the same time that you're trying to flip them, okay? Then flatten it back out again and let the garlic chips float in the oil. We're getting some nice golden color. Okay, they are nice and golden. We're now going to take them out of the oil. I'm going to turn the heat off too. Take them out of the oil using a slotted spoon. Again, I'm putting the oil over on one side of the pan and the garlic chips on the high side of the pan so that they stop cooking in the oil, okay? And then I'm putting them onto the crumpled brown paper, which is not on the camera, unfortunately. Getting them all out of the pan because we're going to use this oil for something else, and I don't want that any garlic in there that will burn, okay? Now let's take this pan away for a moment, and here are the chips. And while they're still hot, you want to sprinkle them with salt, okay? The salt will adhere to them if they are still hot, okay? And I'm trying to separate a couple of them here. Good, okay? Now we're just going to let them cool on this brown paper till we're ready to plate. All right, now we're going to cook the pork chop for the Tonteki. And I'm using the same pan, the same oil that I used to make the garlic chips, and I'm going to heat that up, okay? I turned the heat off before. I'm going to turn it back on, medium heat. Get that oil till it's shimmering, so you can barely just see whiffs of smoke. Okay, I'm barely seeing whiffs of smoke and shimmering oil. I'm going to put the pork chop into the pan, swirl it around a little bit, get it coated with oil. And what we're going to do is we're going to brown both sides, about 2 to 3 minutes per side. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes or so, and that bottom side of the pork chop is beautiful, okay? So we're going to brown it on this side another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, we've browned the other side. Now we're going to add the sauce. And I have it on pretty low heat right now. Then we're going to add the onion and garlic mixture. Then we're going to spoon that over the pork chop. And we're going to let that cook for another 2 minutes, then we're going to turn it. Okay, let's turn it over. It's been about 2 minutes on that side, okay? And
going to spoon some of the sauce over the pork chop. Mix that sauce up too. We're going to let that cook another 2 minutes or so. Okay, it's been another 2 minutes. You can see that it's really low heat because the sauce is not boiling in any way. Now we're going to take it off, we're going to slice it and plate up. Okay, now we're going to slice our Tonteki, and we're going to try to slice it in roughly the same spots where we scored it before. And we want the pieces to be about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. I'm going with about 1/2. And we can see that the pork is beautiful. It's just past medium. Maybe it's medium. It's not pink, just past that, okay? And now, after we've gotten it sliced, we're gonna plate it up. Okay, I've plated up the Tonteki with some of the sauce on top. We have some sliced cherry tomatoes. Master used just tomato wedges, I believe, and some coleslaw. Master used shredded cabbage, which I think is traditional for Tonteki, but again, I've made it my own. And the tomatoes are garnished with a little bit of parsley. We're just going to give the pork just a very light sprinkling of salt and freshly ground black pepper, and then we're going to garnish the pork with the garlic chips. Okay, so that is the Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories Tonteki. You can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is at Chef's Apprentice, Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.